Chicken.
Prater The Ballgame, hour number 2, our Blind Appeal College Football Hour, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. We have arrived for another edition. Got some pretty fun topics we're going to talk about today, Prater. I'm excited for it. International games in college football. Now, these are, if people think these are rare, well, they're probably pretty wrong on that, huh?
Yeah, no, the college football has been playing international games for about the last 15 years, whether it's a bowl game, regular season game, small college football. College football has been dabbling with international games in Ireland. Where else have they played? Obviously, the Bahamas Bowl. There was one. The Ivy League did play in Osaka, Japan in 2015, Princeton versus somebody. And Sydney, Australia, the Pac-12 has experimented a couple of times in Australia. So pretty good road trip there. Even another Ivy League game, Penn versus Ivy in 2019 in Shanghai.
Penn versus Ivy versus who?
No, I'm sorry. Penn versus the Chinese All-Stars. The Ivy League, it says here. Yeah, so Penn of the Ivy League played the Chinese All-Stars in Shanghai in 2019. Final score, 85-0.
Wow. If Boise State had an opportunity, let's say, I don't know, Mexico City, I don't know, Canada, if you wanted to keep it in this continent specifically, or if you want to go elsewhere, across the pond, if you will, Africa, Australia, they've done that. What do you think this would be for an opportunity? Would this be something that if this presented itself to Jeremiah Dickey, is this something that you think he's thinking, okay, this would be a good way to further the program? Boise State, as far as I know, they've never done anything like this, correct?
I don't believe I don't believe Boise State football has ever played. They may have played in Canada. I mean, Simon Fraser is a Canadian school, right? I think they used to play Simon Fraser back in the day. They may have dabbled with a regular season or a stupid non-conference game in Canada way back in the day. But yeah, the modern era of Boise State football, it has not happened. And first of all, you know me, I would have 8,437 questions.
Yeah.
And if you could get a lot of those answered, I'd be all for it. But it's all about the timing. It's all about the money. I could care less where. It doesn't really matter where anymore. You can get anywhere fast and furious, but is it TV? Is it fan friendly? Is Boise State going to lose money? Is Boise State going to gain money? Is that going to be a preseason kickoff game at a decent time where they can get some marketing buzz and some appeal and get an attractive ROI on some recruiting nonsense? So yeah, I would have a million questions, but if all the X's and O's could come together, hell yeah, I'd be for it. I think it'd be spectacular.
I think it's good branding.
Yes.
It's a neutral site game. I mean, the other team is going through it as well. I think it gives this fan base an opportunity to have a serious vacation or whatever that they think about, that they plan for, that is very special to them. You hear people all the time talking about, and I'm sure they've told you this like they have me, I went to the game against Ole Miss, or I went to that game in D.C. Or close to D.C. when they played Virginia Tech. Like, those were big deals. This program, it felt like they used to do those a lot more than they do now. And I'm not certain why. I'm not over here hating or anything. They haven't been maybe having to have that opportunity lately like they had in the past when they were ranked in the top 15 every single year. Is this something that Gloria Nevarez, who's almost 100 days in on her job as Mountain West Commissioner, Prater, is this something that maybe a commissioner can put together? Because it doesn't have to be some non-con game against some mega power. I mean, would it be a good look for the league to take a conference game? Yeah, I get it. One team has to give away a home game, and that can be a bite for whatever fan base that is. But maybe if you go to a city like Albuquerque, and it's Boise State, New Mexico. New Mexico doesn't draw anything anyway. The New Mexico folks would probably be okay with it being played somewhere else to get a bigger draw, to get more television attention, to get bigger gate receipts. I mean, this is usually, you think these are money makers, right? When they go over and play somewhere. You don't think they're losing money on this, but would you be okay with Gloria Nevarez saying, as Mount West Commissioner, I want to set something like this up with our league?
Absolutely. I don't think there has to be any kind of restrictions on it whatsoever. And they don't have to be money makers. They can't be money losers. You can't do that. You got to get sponsors. You got to get subsidies. You got to figure that out. You're going to have to give New Mexico a check for $300,000 to take care of a home game loss, but you can figure that stuff out anymore and do that. So again, it's about working with your television partners and coming up with a product that's good for the fans. I like the idea of maybe a New Mexico game because you could probably buy out that game and you can send it to somewhere in Mexico or Cancun or wherever else and do it a couple of years in advance. It's a reward for fans. As you said, I think you hit the magic nail on the head in terms of a vacation spot. When in 2022, when Northwestern played Nebraska in Dublin, are you kidding me? There was 45,000 people there. I guarantee you they weren't a bunch of drunk Irishmen. They were probably Nebraska and well, I don't know about Northwestern fans, but Nebraska fans may have traveled over there. It's a great time to go see a different part of the country that you would never, ever see. Canada, probably not so much there. Mexico would be spectacular. Anywhere in the Caribbean would be spectacular. I think that'd be a lot of fun and make that happen. It'd be fan friendly and smart. I would love to see it happen. Ballgame.
I mean, the NFL is having a lot of success in Europe with their events. They now have 4 or 5 games in Europe every single year at these massive soccer stadiums. You could do something like this, and maybe you get a lot of attraction over there as well. So, what do you guys think? 208-424-9300 on the Cloverdale Plumbing text line. How opposed would you be, or not opposed would you be to Boise State probably or hopefully trying to one day play in some type of international setting?
And the reason why we're doing this today is the Big 12 came out earlier this week and talked about they're talking about playing football games and men's basketball games as soon as 2024. The Houston Chronicle has reported that. So nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is locked in. Football games would take place in Monterey. Basketball games would take place in Mexico City. They would have, travel and tourism and all that kind of stuff planned together. So I think it would be pretty cool. They're talking about Kansas and Houston playing a basketball game in Mexico City. Why wouldn't that work? I think it would be spectacular. It's all about marketing. It's about PR. It's about trying something different. And I like the idea that the Big 12 was looking at that. If anybody's worried about travel, by the way, let me share with you. In 2024, Boise State will open its season in Georgia. In 2025, Boise State will open its season in Florida.
Okay.
So, what's another hour or two on a comfortable charter flight down to Mexico City?
Totally.
Matt, the travel, the distance, that just stuff doesn't matter anymore. You can be planned for that. And if you can market your program and do something cool. And also, don't forget, this is a program like a lot of programs, regular trips to Hawaii. They used to use that as recruiting tools. Everybody at Boise State used to always say, I want to play Hawaii once every recruiting class year so I can promise every single recruit that comes to Boise State, you're going to get a trip to Hawaii and you can have 2 years to plan for it and your parents can come with you.
Yeah, and that worked. That was a huge selling point, especially not just for football, but other sports as well. Here, we're just talking about football. And the Big 12 saying, okay, how can we get ourselves out there a little more in a college football world that it looks like it is turning to the direction of the Big 10 and the SEC? Leagues like the Big 12, I think, need to get out there and do a little extra on this. And certainly, like the Mountain West, if you can get any type of attraction to the Mountain West, which doesn't get much at all during conference play, Prater, this is at least something like, college game day. They're at least going to say, oh, hey, an invitation would be spectacular. They're at least going to spend some time on it. And they're going to say, New Mexico and Boise State are playing in Estadio Azteca this Saturday night. And kind of a cool setting and all this, and blue and orange down there in Mexico. And I don't know how safe or unsafe Mexico City is, but I don't think that would be a major problem. We got people texting saying, oh, Mexico's not safe. What?
It's safe. It'll be fine. There'll be police escorts.
You've had a lot of times in Mexico. You've been super safe.
There was that one time, but or maybe twice that I got in trouble. But I've had a couple of encounters with the Mexican police, and at least one time they were friendly, and the other time I got detained for 48 hours, but that's a whole other story.
Did you really?
Can you imagine not to prop up these clowns, but can you imagine like BYU taking its football back on the road? That'd be spectacularly huge for them.
Huge. South America.
Yeah, exactly.
This is where Matt is going to join us. Let's bring Matt onto the phone. We're taking your calls on this. Matt, thoughts? International game in the future for Boise State.
I think we actually missed an opportunity. Back in 2010, we were at the movie theater downtown in the summer, and we met about a half a dozen kids from the Netherlands, and they were all here for the Boise State football camp. They were huge fans because at that time there were 3 Dutch players.
Yeah.
Boise
Boldevine, Chongachu.
Yeah, and they said they used to follow it, on satellite, and they saved up all their money to come over to America to go to a Boise State football camp, which is probably a pretty big deal. The only thing they were disappointed is that they weren't allowed to drink here.
Or do other things that are legal in their country. But, very.
Or purchase them. Yeah.
I forgot about that. And, I don't know about road trips to the Netherlands, but there was enough interest here. Why couldn't that have been returned in favor? I think that's a great idea, dude. I love that idea.
Yeah. Oh, well.
All right. Great stuff there, Matt. Appreciate you. Another text coming in saying, hey, what about Japan? The university in Japan has a blue turf field that is actually licensed by Boise State. As you know, Prater, I mean, you could go there to Japan and play on a blue turf against either another team from the Mountain West, a team from wherever you could get. I mean, I think that would be a pretty easy sell too.
I think it would be, you'd have to, that logistically, that's big. That's huge. The timing would have to be perfect. The TV, you'd have to, I don't want to go over there and play on the blue turf just because it's a blue turf, but the game's on at 4:00 in the morning on FS7. I need Saturday night prime time, Boise State playing on the blue ... and wherever that program is. Looking at this list of international teams, the Big Ten, back in the day, I think it was the Big Eight. Nebraska played Kansas State in Tokyo in 1992. Wisconsin played Michigan State in Tokyo in 1993. So you mentioned that there were some Tokyo games back in the 90s and the 80s. There was a pretty good display of Clemson versus Duke.
That's a league game.
Houston versus Arizona State, Syracuse versus Louisville. All these were in Tokyo, in the Tokyo Dome. So there was about a 10-year period where they were bringing American football into the Tokyo Dome every single year. Ball game. I like that idea.
I do too. What about his first name is John and his last name goes by Patrick? He has never been for American sports exhibiting themselves in foreign countries. I'm talking about JP. JP, where are you with this?
You know what? I can almost be talked into this as long as Boise State would not lose a home game. If this was, one of these Chick-fil-A type of games and it was set up as the first game of the year and it was, in Mexico City or even the Japan thing, I didn't even think about it. That's Jose University is the university over there that
has the blue turf.
And they probably have high school bleachers with 40 fans. Yeah. So I'm gonna pass on that blue turf idea.
But I could almost be talked into it as long as Boise State's not losing out and the fans here are not losing out on the opportunity for a Boise State home game.
How do you feel about that, Prater? Would you be okay to lose the home game?
I have 8,000 questions, and it depends on the circumstances. Let's say 2027, Boise State is scheduled to play South Florida here in Boise. It's not going to be the home opener because there's a couple of dates that haven't been filled yet. But what if with 3 years in advance, everybody says, let's take South Florida and Boise and put it in the Bahamas? It's a home game.
Its home game.
It's a home game, but it's 4 years down the road, and I'm all for it. Ball game.
Yeah, we're not fans though. That's where I'm thinking. Like, if you're a fan, like but when this comes to the NFL, it was cool for me to send the Seahawks somewhere as long as we're not the ones that lose the home game. I'm feeling that with JP.
Are you worried just because of the cash drawer? Is that all you care about?
No,
why are you so worried about losing a home game that would be compensated for?
I'm talking for the fans. If I'm a diehard Boise State fan, I'm a season ticket holder. Now all of a sudden I'm used to having 6 home games a year. This 1 year I only have 5.
Yeah, but you got 4 years to plan, and you can plan. You and your family can plan a road trip to the Bahamas.
And
there's 10,000 plus are going to go.
If you have those means, that would be great too. Don't get me wrong, but
if Boise State played a game in the Bahamas, there would be at least 10, maybe 20,000 fans.
You think so?
And that's not 36 for a home game. I get that. There's going to be some loss. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not, are we worried about if Boise State did that and the marketing and the TV and the kickoff and all that kind of fun stuff? Wouldn't that outweigh the loss of 16,000 fans in a home game?
I would tell that to the fans. I would try to say, look, dude, I know you're bummed. You only get 5 home games this year. I get you, but
season ticket sales will go. Season ticket prices will go down.
They should, because there's only 5 home games. It should be cheaper.
Yeah.
And then I could sell the fan base on, look, you need this moment to elevate your program a little bit. And this is a winnable game. against, South Florida. You go down there to the Bahamas in early September, late August, maybe you can flip this into a week 0 thing.
Yes.
So you can get you get some break on the way back.
You would have to do that.
Yeah. So you can set it up there 3 years in advance. I would just tell the Boise State fan who's like, no, I need my home games. I say, this is better for your program than playing South Florida on the blue in a game that, won't sell out. And South Florida won't bring fans to this game. It's too damn far, and they're not cool enough. They won't bring more than 3,000 fans to this game on the blue. So, yeah, I would be totally for that. That's a good example. Any others? Any other future games, or we just want to stick with that one? South Florida's a pretty good one, huh?
2028, the home openers against Cincinnati. Cincinnati on the road for a home opener. I mean, there's a lot of Oregon State stuff, and I wouldn't move those. I need those here in the Pacific Northwest and in Boise, Idaho.
Me too.
I wouldn't mess with those. 2030, a road trip to Memphis, and no thank you. 2032, a road trip to Rice. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of opportunities. And after 2025, starting with the 2026 season, Boise State has at least one vacancy on its schedule every single year until the end of time. So there are plenty of opportunities. You always do these things well in advance. By the way, June 5th, 1976.
June 5th, 76. Okay.
Texas A&I of the Lone Star Conference played Henderson State. What stadium did they play in? It was in Vienna, Austria. What was the name of the stadium?
Vienna, Austria. The Vienna.
The Austria Dome. The Shrimp on the Bobby Dome. And that's a joke.
That's Australia.
I know. That's the joke. Anyway, sorry, man.
The Vienna Sausage Dome.
You know what it's called?
What?
It's called, I'm not joking here. I'm looking at it here. It's called Prater Stadium. That is the coolest name for a stadium ever.
Actually, Prater is a very common name in Vienna, Austria. The Central Park in Vienna, the big giant park in Vienna is called the Prater. And Prater is Prater is like the Smith of Austria.
Is it really?
They played a college football game in Prater Stadium. 18,000 people in Prater Stadium. Are you kidding me? I wonder whatever happened to Prater Stadium.
Does it have a Wikipedia page? Prater
yes,
Stadium?
It does. Yes, it does.
Click on that. And let's do some history on it as we continue the Blind Appeal College Football Hour events on the blue. We talked overseas. We talked foreign. Now let's talk domestic. Prater was saying this at 3:00 that there's less than 10 events typically at Albertson Stadium per year. And he's not talking about the yoga championships, real events on the blue. What else would you want to see? 208-424-9300. You can call us. You can text us. This would be something where if you found out this event was coming to the blue, you are on the phone, on your computer, right at 10 a.m. on Monday morning, rushing to buy tickets. What event would spark that from you? We want to know. Blind Appeal College Football Hour continues. Prater on the ball game, KTIK the ticket.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studios, this is Ticket Traffic.
We have a